to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're season 5, episode number 26. Tonight's the Songs edition, Andy.
Yes.
Music, album reviews, musical artists, and upcoming tours.
Now, just a little disclosure before we start here. You good fans are going to know I'm not a slob. Yes, I had this shirt on the Monday episode. Dan's going to be out of office Thursday, so we're recording this ahead of time.
Yes.
Double header on Monday because the songs went early, so
yeah, we're wearing the same
clothing all the time, just double dipping.
The fresh listeners aren't going to notice the difference. The veteran listeners are going to just be spooked at this whole episode.
Those who watch both the sports and songs are going to say, "Hey,
well, this is songs." We have an interesting album review today. Not an interesting, I guess, more in our wheelhouse as far as some rock and roll from the Detroit City Madman.
Yes.
Little Ted Nugent. Here's the album.
Uncle
Weekend
Ted.
Warriors. We call him Uncle Ted, right?
Yes, he is.
The Weekend Warriors. What's your thoughts here on the album cover? We're big into album covers here at the show.
Yeah, and that was Ted. And that's the thing about, you look at Ted Nugent, the Amboy Dukes, Ted Nugent. Ted didn't really per se do a lot of the lead singing on all the songs. It's just he was the name, he was the brand, he was the picture, the when you went to see him play guitar, so he got the name.
He liked to incorporate.
He is the entertainer.
He liked to incorporate his hunting prowess also on his albums, and so here we got the machine gun firing here from his lead guitar Gibson, and so that also not surprising. Good stuff. This is Weekend Warriors was the 4th studio album by American hard rock musician Ted Nugent. This is a studio album by a musician, but it's also a band. It was released November 1978 by Epic Records. So it's the first of 3 Ted Nugent studio albums to not feature the work of Derek St. Holmes following Holmes' departure in 1978. Instead, Charlie Hune came in as a new vocalist and guitarist for Nugent, performed on this album, and others until Holmes returned for Nugent in 1982. The album just called Nugent. So they bring in Charlie Hune, and what he does here, he brings in some session guys for his albums. Some are regulars, some are recurring, some are different guys, but the band name is Ted Nugent.
Yep.
Founding bassist Rob Grange had left for good, citing the lack of credit songwriting and suspicions about Nugent's creative accounting, which Grange alleged was building his hunting dynasty instead of paying the band. Now, that allegation, could be right. Could very well be legit. Ted Nugent was always proud of spending 6 months running his hunting business out of the year and 6 months doing his musical business out of the years and over the years. And, there may have been some suspicions about how he did that. A little more on that in a bit here. The front sleeve art was by British artist Jeff Cummings. And Nugent liked what he saw. He's like, I like this. And they went with this album artwork here. Here's the track listings.
Okay.
And then we'll get to the personnel next, because there's a lot of interesting things here when it comes to Ted Nugent with the number of personnel. Here's the track listings. Side 1, if you listen to the album, is Need You Bad. Song 2 is One Woman. 3 is I Got the Feelin'. 4 is Tight Spots. 5 is Venom Soup. Side 2, Smokescreen, Weekend Warriors, Cruisin', the song Good Friends and a Bottle of Wine. Keep in mind, Nugent was not the drinker, didn't do drugs either. Last song is Name Your Poison. So most of the songs here are about having fun, having a good time, or about women. Weekend Warriors, I think, is really, it pays homage to the blue-collar worker, the 9-to-5 worker, Monday through Friday, who like to go out and have fun and blow off some steam and have some fun on the weekends. Called them the Weekend Warriors. And all songs composed by Ted Nugent, whether the lyrics or whatnot. Remember, he was a clean-cut guy. Nugent always got his fix from women. His weakness was the ladies. He didn't get into
Gene Simmons had the same issues,
kind of like Gene Simmons. Neither drank or did drugs, but they had just a huge appetite for other things. Personnel: Ted Nugent, lead and rhythm guitars, of course, and his lead vocals were just on tracks I Got the Feeling, Cruisin', Good Friends and a Bottle of Wine, and Name Your Poison. He does the backing vocals,
Oh, full.
some bass as well, but mainly he brings in a lead guitarist for the songs that are the commercial or the radio hits. I find it interesting that he never really goes focus on the stuff that he does. He puts his own music, for instance, on this album, on the songs that aren't released as singles, the ones that he sings. Charlie Hoon was brought in. Now, Andy, Charlie Hoon came in. He had a background in Foghat and Humble Pie.
Yes.
I did not, I did not know that.
I knew the fog
Brings
hat
him in.
one. Ah, yes.
Cliff Davies, they brought in for the drums, John Sauter on bass, additional musicians. They bring in another guy, David Hull, to play some tracks on bass as well, where John Sauter wasn't there. And then they put the songs together, lay down the tracks, and get it produced and push it on out. So these are studio guys for the main part. They only released one song, "Need You Bad." The first song on the album is "Need You Bad." They released that December 1978, and this was not a song that took off big. No songs here took off big. I was interested in doing the review on this because it doesn't have any of the Ted Nugent hit songs or the
Yeah.
the wild songs, but this is just a typical good. All the songs here are good. It was certified platinum. This album went platinum in 1978. So I think his touring in 76 and 77, one of those years, he was the number one touring act in the US for music. So he was making big bucks. This band was doing really well in 77, I believe. So I think that this was one of those albums that you didn't need to really put forth your best effort, just get something out. And it went platinum.
And I think, like you said, he always got just a handful of studio guys, did the album. Can you imagine if you would have, and half the year recording, half the year hunting? If Ted in his prime had today's technology where he could just record his stuff at home in the studio and someone else can mix it, he'd be 75 hunting 25 music.
Yes, it's true. So he would split it up, but you're right. And I don't know how much Ted Nugent did or does now on the digital age.
He does a podcast, I believe.
Okay.
He does
I mean, as
social
far
media
as
stuff.
the
He does
electronics on,
other radio interviews all day. Yeah.
I think electronic tracks and things like that.
Well, that
Or
way,
his stuff that he records is probably just authentic, guitars. I'm assuming that's how he
yeah,
does them. But
just him farting around at home. Maybe he lays it down just to stay in practice and stuff. But
yeah, it's considered hard rock. It really isn't. If you listen to it, it's pretty soft rock music. I think if you think about it, it's not heavy metal, but I guess hard rock. Length 39 minutes. Label was Epic. Now, what Grange was talking about, and you're gonna like this, I think. Rob Grange says, I'm leaving. I can't do this anymore. He had written some of their best songs. I think Stranglehold was a Rob Grange song. Some other songs that went really huge, and Ted Nugent was known for taking the credit himself on the composition and the composing of these songs. And guys did not like that and got ticked off over the years because they didn't get the credit. They didn't receive the checks, the royalty money when those songs aired. And Rob Granger was one of those who said, I put a lot of work into some of these songs. And Ted Nugent was very selfish and made sure he took all the creative writing credit. And so that, I believe, is also very true too. He would do that, number one, to make it easy, but number one, put the money in his pocket instead of someone else's when a lot of other people did the work. They didn't like it, so his organization became basically a revolving door to some extent. The original name of the band was the Ted Nugent Band. It was the Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes.
yep.
Then they got together and formed the band Ted Nugent Band. And that's how a couple of guys got in, because they said, we're going to call it a band. They did not want them to be working, making their livelihoods just something so Ted Nugent could get wealthy off of. And then they slipped in I think the A&R guy said, just go with Ted Nugent. You don't need to put the word band on there, the Ted Nugent Band. It's just easier because you've got name recognition and brand just put yourself. So Ted says, sounds good. Yeah, let's do that. So they published it and it went live and the albums started coming out. And the guys in the band were like, well, this is not what we agreed on. This is not what we talked about at all.
Yep.
And so they said, if I would have known this going in, I never would have done it. We had talked specifically that we wanted to make sure we all got equal billing here as a band, and whether Ted did it or he just agreed to something that was recommended to him, it left hard feelings because the names are all Ted Nugent and Ted Nugent only. That is it. In fact, one album is just called Nugent, but none of his have the word band in it. And be that as it may, that's how it ended up. But I think that caused the downfall too for the bands to some extent. And I don't think Nugent was in it to get crazy rich or wealthy or to become famous anyway. He just liked to be on stage and be a performer. That was his gig, and
Yeah.
perform the live show, jumping off the amplifiers and whatnot. But that was his gig, and so this album still went platinum. Still good to listen to. It's not one of those albums that you need to hear before you die, but good nonetheless. Do you have anything else on this one?
Like I said, Nugent was just a performer. He gets that adrenaline rush being on stage. He gets that adrenaline rush hunting. So he does split it to make it more level, if you will. He's very Ted. Whatever he does, he's very passionate about it. I think not only the love of women, the comparison with him, Gene Simmons. I think the ego is there too. Gene very egotistical, so is Ted. Now, I could say that, and I could still say it in the same breath and say they are both very talented musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have an ego and you're a jerk to your friends does not mean you're not a talented musician. So let's just stop right there. Ted, very talented, very artistic, puts on a show. I'm not asking to be my friend and come over and join my fantasy football league. I want him to entertain me. I want Ted Nugent. So
Yeah, that was the definition, really the definition of the outdoor rock music
yep,
festivals on
yep,
stage, kind of like the Alice Cooper. It was the
yep,
theatrics for Cooper. It was the Kiss putting on the big show. It was
yep,
Ted Nugent putting on the show, and that's what people love. They could turn off their life and go to a concert for 2-3 hours and just have a blast, and then turn
yep,
that back off again. And that's what Weekend Warriors. Just a good. This is
yep.
just good old fashioned rock and roll, baby. That's all I've got.
All right. I got a few tidbits on life and the rest of the musical world here.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Journey. We own the iconic hits Don't Stop Believin'. Have navigated there's been turmoil in Journey since day one between these two. Okay. Neil Schon and Steve Perry, not Joe Perry, Steve Perry. In a revealing 2008 Q&A with GQ magazine, Steve Perry shared reflections on his time with the band, conveying a feeling of being the new kid on the block and grappling to prove himself despite the band's success. A particular source of challenge was Neil, given Perry's complimentary limited experience compared to other members who had previously played with notable artists. Neil Schon, the guitarist, responded to Perry's comments, clarifying in frustration that no legal constraints prevented him from discussing Perry. He expressed discontent with Perry. Because basically, they're coming back to the fact that he doesn't think he should be paying royalties to Steve Perry anymore. Because Steve
Mm-hmm.
Perry's not out there singing them. Steve Perry's not the one selling tickets to come see in the seats. No, but they're paying to hear the song Steve Perry helped write. He should get a cut. Does he get as big a cut as the rest of them? No, he shouldn't. Should he still get a cut though? Yes. This breakup was as bad as the breakup with Foreigner. And I hear that they're kind of getting Foreigners kind of kissing and making up for the Hall of Fame thing. These two have been very, very bitter. As much as and the sad thing is, again, Neil Schon, very talented guitarist. You do some research on him. He was sneaking out at 14 to go to blues bars to play and to watch. So very, very talented man. Steve Perry, incredible voice. But there's only one spotlight. And that's what happened with this band.
Yeah, the other thing is, these musicians are good, and as youngsters, when they're young, the whole goal is to try to get a record label deal, and you're having all this fun, and you're cheap, broke. You're trying to make it, and you finally get a deal. But
You're
what
selling
that
out
deal,
stadiums all over the world.
and then what that deal encompasses, then as you becoming now a business, and you're in a group of a band is comprised of a group that's not business minded or business people. Now you're shoved down of who's going to get what cut and what percentage and what royalty and what money and how much they're going to get for these payments. And then it starts getting all your work that you dreamed for, right? You try to get there, you try to get the big hit, and then every
Yep.
band who does this now becomes famous, and they got to learn how to battle those tough, rugged waters of the finances. And either you get along, which very few bands do, or you don't get along, and it starts fracturing your relationships and everything else. And now you, like you said, Andy, they become bitter for many, many years about who's owing what and who's getting what money. Well, the song was famous. The song was genius and was written,
Yep.
30 years ago. But checks are still going out, and it's hard to overcome that because now you're working for a corporation. In most rock bands or metal bands, their lyrics are anti those very things. So now
Right.
you're dealing with lawyers and attorneys for all your stuff, the very people that you didn't like to begin with, and how you got into music probably for that very reason. And so
Yep.
everyone's got to go through it. It's a tough deal, but not surprising. Once again, it's tough to deal with all of these emotions.
Yes. Oh, wait. Here we go. Where's my guy? Where's my clicker? Where's my clicker at? There we go. Seattle Rain will be playing a show here Saturday, June 8th, next week at Shaw's Bar Grill. Seattle Rain is a
Now,
tribute
where's
to the
that?
90s. I'm sorry?
Where is Shaw's Barn Grill?
It's called Google, Dan. You'll have to check it out.
I'll have to check it out because I got something after you're done here with this.
They're Seattle-based, or they play 90s Seattle-based, Seattle-influenced hard rock, grunge era, stuff from Alice in Chains, Tool, Silverchair, Foo Fighters, Nirvana, Candlebox, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Bush, Smashing Pumpkins, and many more.
And so Shad Hendrickson there is the lead guy, guitarist and singer.
Yep.
Run into him if you see a lot of the shows at the Shakopee Bowl and whatnot. Some of the same stuff. These guys are all connected and networked in. I have not seen this band. I've been told to go see them. They're on my radar to see, and hopefully when they come out next time, Seattle Rain should be a good band to see. I've heard good things about these guys. Good guys.
Hairball, June 14th with special guest Sugar Buzz. Don't forget to check that one out. Just a good show.
This will be huge.
Medina, here's some stuff from Medina. I only got one from Medina. They only had 2 concerts on the calendar and only one I felt like talking about. Tennessee Whiskey, a Chris Stapleton tribute band. So a lot of Chris Stapleton's done some tours with some rock guys. So he's kind of that old school rock or old school country that some rock guys are starting to like. So,
And so this is a tribute band.
Yes, May 17th.
I could imagine this band taking off pretty successfully.
Yep.
I mean, it's not in the market arena that we go to see the old heavy metal, the rock.
But there is some rock guys, metal guys that like him, and they kind of songs together. So might be worth giving a listen to.
This could take off.
St. Michael, the music room, or the music room. Here's some stuff they got coming on there. Dan, get your calendar out and start penciling some of these in.
All right. Remember, now I've never been there. Have you?
No.
Neither of us have, and we keep hearing about how good this is. And if you're going to
just down the road, basically, for the crying out loud.
Awesome. So let's see some of these upcoming shows.
7 Wonders of Rock. It's music of Styx, Heart, Journey, Fleetwood Mac, Queen, Led Zeppelin, Foreigner, and more. They sold out their show on Thursday, so what did they do? They added a second show Friday.
See, and that I think is going to work. Hairball does a lot of they do multiple bands, 3 songs I think of each band, and they bounce around.
So this might be one I want to check out too if they're going to do different.
This is 7 bands and a little 7+ bonus. Excellent.
Church of Cash, Sunday and Monday, the 19th and 20th out there. Like I said, catch our review last week I did on them. Worth Seeing. Jay does a great job. Give them a check out.
And this is a great venue as well. Nice and small, nice, intimate.
I saw this on the Music Room site. Then later on, I saw 10,000 Days put this on their site on Facebook. Metal Mania Festival turning 10,000 Days. a tribute to Tool, Devil's Reject, a tribute to Rob Zombie, and Menace.
Interesting.
So those 3 bands, that should be very interesting.
Yeah,
Saturday,
that
June
10,000
15th.
Days, can't say enough about that. That's been phenomenal band.
Menace, great band, great band. Go see Menace. You'll recognize some faces.
Oh, yes.
Pandemic, the rock fever is spreading. They play 80s party music, including Journey, Styx, Foreigner, Loverboy, Bon Jovi, Poison, Motley Crue, Van Halen, Whitesnake, Lita Ford, Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, Bryan Adams, and more. Now, there's a nice mix of music right there.
That, I think, has potential to be a very fun time at this one.
Thursday, June 13th. Expedition, June 27th. They play Journey, Kansas, Foreigner, Styx.
Okay.
So there's
Very
a good one
good.
there.
All songs you're going to know as well. And
Yeah.
know by heart. You're probably going to know all these songs lyric by lyric when you go to a show like this.
And, no offense, I'm not ripping anyone, but, a lot of these bands all said, oh, Journey, Foreigner, and Styx. Okay, unless you really follow music, if you just had it on in the background as you're doing something and someone's mixing in Journey, Foreigner, and Styx, you're not going to tell the difference. They all have the same kind of similar sound, because very rarely can people say, oh, I like Foreigner and Styx, can't stand Journey. I like Journey and Styx, don't like Foreigner. No. If you like all 3 or you don't like all 3.
Yeah, it's
They're
very
different but
sounding.
similar, where you're going to
Not
like
that
all of them or not.
Not that it's bad, but some people like it, some people do not. And if once again, you're going to like the whole group, and it's got the similar sound to it. All very good music.
So if you're one of those people who's like, oh man, I know songs, I don't know the artists, these last 3 groups would be ones you would enjoy then.
You would know every single song, whether
Yeah.
you knew the band or were a fan or not. Yes, correct.
And that's all I got, sir.
That's fun stuff. It's going to these tribute bands, and it's taking off. There's
Yeah.
more and more tribute bands coming around and playing the songs that cost very inexpensive to see these bands. They have a blast playing, and it's just as loud and just with talented musicians as you could ever guess.
Yep.
But you're going for $10 or $15, $20.
Yeah, and everybody's having a great time. No one's claiming to be a better fan of the band than the other
Yeah.
one. You're just all people having a good time.
It's good stuff. Some of these, by the way, too, do not take breaks. They'll play straight through. Some will take a break, an intermission or not, but
Don't
but
play for 3 hours.
It's straight through. It's unbelievable, the value for hearing quality local homegrown musicians. Very good music for what you're paying.
I don't know about you, but I like some of these bands the best as the next guy, but I couldn't do 3 straight hours of it. I need a break to go pee every now and then too. So,
Yes, and so then you're forced to go during a song you don't know or you don't like,
and you hope you can make it back in one
intermission
song.
sometimes does help to give you time to do other things. But that's what we've got for the show today. We'll be back next Thursday with another album review.
See
Have a
ya.
good week.
Bye.